US Open Cup, my favorite competition because it's the oldest one here in this country, and it has a lot of value, and I think it deserves more love and adoration. We've talked about it before, but we're down to our round of 16. We got 8 games on the slate Tuesday and Wednesday. 4 of those games are going to be on the CBS Sports Golazo channel, the Golazo Network, so go make sure you check those out. Here is the bracket. We got Austin FC taking on Chicago Fire. The Fire have won it 4 times. Frankie Klopas going up against his former teammate, Josh Wolf with Austin FC. That should be a good one. Houston Dynamo, who have won it, are now being coached by Ben Olsen, taking on Minnesota United. So that'll be an interesting 4. All MLS on that side of it. Then you got the Rapids taking on Real Salt Lake. They just played this weekend. Colorado have yet to win at home this season, and they just lost at home to Salt Lake 3-2. So we'll see if they can get some revenge, and that should be an interesting game. Then the winner of that will take on the El Tráfico winner, LAFC and the LA Galaxy. Now, I'm wondering, guys, if LAFC is gonna roll out all their young players again, or what the Galaxy needs to do because they're the worst team in MLS. Yeah, I think they're gonna go for it, right? El Tráfico, you got to go.
They rotated over the weekend and got their win against San Jose. So
they did.
I think they're prepping for this one.
They did, and we're gonna get into our predictions here in a second, but I'm gonna read out the other ones. You got Red Bulls taking on FC Cincinnati in New York. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds hosting the Columbus Crew. Birmingham Legion, coached by Tommy Sohn, who's won this competition 5 times. Jay Heath's won it back in 2007. He's the technical director, general manager, hosting Charlotte FC. And then Inter Miami, who just lost at home to Orlando, a big Florida derby, taking on Nashville and hosting Nashville in that one. So, Charlie, I'll come to you first. I mean, let's get into some predictions. Who do you like to win these particular matches, my friend?
I'll go down. I'm going to go Austin, Houston. Houston at home have just been incredible. Austin, Houston. Then I'm going to go Colorado Rapids because Salt Lake just haven't been good this year. Too inconsistent. Colorado have been inconsistent as well, but at least they're playing at home. And I'm going to go LAFC because, Heath, you just touched on it. Their depth is incredible. And they're resting players. They want this one. Galaxy, they might be playing with too much emotion because at this point, everything has gone wrong. Mm-hmm. Team selection, formation, players' performances, the signings of players, everything has gone wrong from top to bottom. So I think it gets to a point where you're just playing with emotion because things have gone off the rails, and I think things aren't gonna get better until there's changes made. And then on the opposite side, Cincinnati beat Red Bulls. Cincinnati are just playing really well. I think they finally found a good partnership for Brendan Vasquez with Don Badji. And Lucho Acosta is obviously a beast. Crew, the Crew are playing well. I mean, they lost a tight one to Cincinnati based on basically building out of the back. That's how they lost. Reminds me of the early Greg Berhalter days when Columbus Crew were trying to learn a new system, and that's what we're seeing now. Birmingham Legion, that's my pick for the one upset. Jay Heath, Tommy Sohn, they get their one win against an MLS side against Charlotte. Charlotte haven't been great. And then Nashville beating Inter Miami, another team, Inter Miami, that they have the Kramaski, who's looked good, and Ruiz, who's looked good, young players, but not enough.
Charlie's trying to figure Heath.
Back line, not good enough. And then I'm going to go Cincy, LAFC in the final. And LAFC too deep, too good at the moment. I think they're going to take down the US Open Cup.
Okay, so Heath, I'm going to go before you. I'll make my picks a little easier. On the left side, the first 4 games, I have all the home teams winning. I got Austin beating Chicago, Houston beating Minnesota, Colorado beating Salt Lake, LAFC beating the Galaxy. On the other side, I got all the away teams going. I think FC Cincinnati, I'm almost very similar to you, Chuck. I got Cincinnati beating the Red Bulls, Columbus beating Pittsburgh. I got Charlotte, though, overcoming Birmingham, and then Nashville beating Inter. So that's kind of how it works out there. I got the Dynamo taking on LAFC in one semi and FC Cincinnati and Nashville in the other. I got FC Cincinnati beating LAFC in a crazy final 3-2, just so that Steve Cherundolo can't win every single trophy possible in the first 2 years of his coaching career. Though I would love for Sven to do that. It'd be thrilling because I think he's a top coach and he's going to be one for a very long time. But you can't have it all at once. And I think it'd be cool for Pat Noonan and FC Cincinnati to win this trophy. How about you, Heath?
All right. So for me, I've got similarly Austin beating Chicago, Houston beating Minnesota. I've got Colorado beating Real Salt Lake, and then LAFC beating the Galaxy. From there, actually, I'll go to the other side first. I've got FC Cincinnati beating Red Bulls. I think pretty similarly to everybody. You got Columbus Crew beating the Riverhounds.
Oh, you got all the away
Charlotte,
teams like me.
and
No upsets.
and no upsets.
No upsets.
And then I get into my upsets. I've got Colorado Rapids beating LAFC in the next round.
Whoa.
And
whoa there.
Whoa. Slow down your scrolling, guys. Listen, the reason why is because this is coming out of the CONCACAF Champions League final. So they've got a really busy schedule leading up. I think at a certain point, LAFC are going to have to rotate again like they did in the last round. They were able to get that early result with that completely rotated squad. I think they're going full power against LA Galaxy. I think they'll take their chances against a weak Colorado Rapids. And I think that's where the Colorado Rapids will strike against them because they just can't play that even close to their first team lineup with that scheduling that they have with Champions League and the league and all that stuff coming out of that window. And then from there, I've got on the other side, FC Cincinnati and Charlotte getting through. So Charlotte beating Nashville, Cincinnati beating Columbus, similarly to this last weekend. And then Houston Dynamo and FC Cincinnati making that final with FC Cincinnati. Actually, as I went through this, I actually didn't have them. It was kind of a logical pathway as I went through it. I didn't really have them in mind. But then when it came down to Houston, and Charlie's right, they've been so Houston at home are a very good team. But in this one, I'm not sure where that's supposed to be, but I've got FC Cincinnati winning it. So I think I actually had a lot more similarities in our brackets than I expected as we went deeper. Like I didn't think.
So why are we all leaning towards FC Cincinnati? I mean, obviously they had a big win against Columbus in the Hell is Real derby. Is there something that we're seeing there? I mean, because they do have times where they are a little leaky in the back, but offensively they are just lights out.
I mean, they're still so first in the Eastern Conference, and that's with one loss on the season. So they know how to get results. They know how to grind results. They know how to stay in games. And in a competition like this, when you look at it, could they ride that wave of momentum that they have in form? I think they can. And that ends up sort of taking the pressure off of like maybe supporter shield chase and things like that. But I just think that they're a team that continues to have a chip on their shoulder because they're a smaller market and are good.
They're still giving up more than a goal a game defensively, though, Chuck. And I think at some point that could catch you in this competition, especially if you're mixing your squad a little bit. Not to say that they will. I think there seems to be some real energy from Pat and the coaching staff that they're going to go for it in this competition. But, as Heath alluded to, there's a lot of games this time of the season. And so you might have to mix it up. And sometimes you have to rely on guys you might not normally rely on to get you a result.
Yeah, but when you're, by the way, sorry, when you're top of the table, though, you rotate a league game for this one if it's something means something to you and you got the form. I think, right? You can rotate like the way the LAFC did because they're privileged to be in the position that they're in within the league versus the other way around of potentially going out of this competition.
Yeah, I would say Cincinnati are probably one more center back away from being a real true contender for MLS Cup. I think Miazga was a massive signing for them. He adds a lot of quality to their back line. I think Mosquera is a good signing for them, but I think they need one more center back. And then Celentano, he still makes those young errors as a goalkeeper because he is pretty young. And I think last year was a great year for him. He got a U.S. men's national team call up in January for it. But you see some of the rebounds he's been giving up as of late. He's had some uncharacteristic mistakes for someone who had such a strong season last year. So I think it's still in the process of reaching your full potential and pushing. So they're probably a player or two away from really being at the level of beating an LAFC. I mean, they made the most with Dom Badji. I think that signing in terms of you getting rid of Brenner and Vasquez made a great partnership together. And now you take that away. Sergio Santos wasn't the answer. He plays more as a lone striker. And so Dom Badji works for the team. I think he's worked well with Vasquez so far. But they've made a lot of progress. I give a ton of credit to Pat Noonan.
All right, let's take a look at their schedule. Now, if they beat the Red Bulls on Wednesday, then they will have a quarterfinal on June 6th or 7th. So looking at that, they play Wednesday in New York. They play Saturday in Denver. The following Wednesday, they play in New York again against NYCFC. Then they come home against the Chicago Fire before having that potential quarterfinal of the Open Cup. And we don't know that if that's home or away. That's not the easiest schedule, having to go back and forth across the country a few times. Well, I guess they're not that far. They're in Cincinnati, and I'm thinking about it from the West Coast, but still a lot of travel. And I wonder how Pat Noonan and the rest of the team are going to balance that.